We are 18 rounds through the 2023 AFL season, so I thought I would jump on Tier Maker and I would rank to see if all of the teams so far have exceeded expectations, hit their expectations, or are below their expectations from what the general census was pre-season. Starting off with the Adelaide Crows, and this is an interesting one because I was really bullish on the Crows. I'm not sure if I was too bullish. I think I might have been more bullish than most people were on the Adelaide Crows. I just saw something in their young list that I really thought could take them forward, and I think they have hit expectation. The Crows, I think this year was not just all about playing finals, which it looks like they still could do, but probably won't from here. I think what they needed to do was take a visibly big step forward. Young guns such as Josh Rochelle, Max McGlady, Jake Saligo, heaps of others have really taken a step forward in taking leadership of this football club. And still got the veteranship of Rory Sloane and Tex Walker leading the way. I think Adelaide are in a really good position as a club. There's no toxicity around it. They're getting lots of fans to their games, and the team they're putting out each and every week excites fans, excites opposition fans, and I think Adelaide are moving in the right direction, and to just miss out on finals with such a young list this year, I think it's a really good job, and I think next year they're primed for it. Next up, the Brisbane Lions. I think it's got to be hit expectation. This isn't in any particular order, by the way, but I think it has to be in hit expectation. I think expectation for them had to be a top four with their list. They added Josh Dunkley and Jack Gunston in the off-season. They were only going to get better from what was a disappointing 6th place finish last year. I think Brisbane are well and truly in the flag conversation with the likes of Collingwood and Port Adelaide. They are looking absolutely sublime in all areas of the ground. They are firing. Harris Andrews, his intercept marking game as of late has been absolutely superb, and in the contest, Brisbane are absolutely smashing teams left, right and centre. It's very hard to win a midfield battle against the likes of Neil, Dunkley, Lyons when they chuck him in there, Hugh McCluggage as of late. So yeah, and of course Will Ashcroft, who has just been absolutely outstanding this year, and he might not be as noticeable as Harry Sheasel, whose role is to pick up the pill, but Will Ashcroft in and under is such a good player and such an important player for the Brisbane Lions. An incredibly clean ball user, getting it inside their forward 50 and around the ground. Moving to Carlton. This is probably going to be the toughest one I rank, because I'm not actually sure where I rank Carlton. For now, if they don't make finals, and I'm going to rank them to my prediction that they don't make finals, I'm going to put them in below expectation, because the Blues' expectation this year should be to make finals. If they end up making finals with this incredibly late, massive run they're having, then it is hit expectation. But they're not exceeding it this year unless they make a prelim or something. Yeah, I think Carlton need to make finals to hit expectation, but at the moment, in my personal opinion, they won't make finals and it'll be a below expectation finish. I think with the list that look, they do have injuries. They've missed Zach Williams for the whole year, and they've had inconsistencies in the key areas in terms of health. Harry Mackay's touch and go if he'll even play finals if they make it. So yeah, Carlton have had injury issues, but nevertheless they've got a good enough list, good enough depth to really make an impact. They've, even George Hewitt, he's had a lot of concussion issues this year, so it has been rough in the health end for Carlton, but it's no excuse. The depth that they have, the quality that they have, the coaching at times, and the the vibe around the club at times has just been unbearable to watch or experience. Yeah, Carlton need to make finals if they want to hit expectations. Next up is Collingwood, and I'm really not sure because I actually predicted them to drop a little bit, and I think the general consensus was, with the amount of close wins that they had last year, that they probably would drop. So I am going to put Collingwood. I could very well just put them in hit expectation, but I think I'm going to put them in exceeded expectation, because from a lot of people saying that they drop off, including myself, to being the clear #1 team in the competition and clear flag favourites with a blueprint of football that is pretty much unstoppable apart from the 2 losses they've had this year. They are stopped by so far the best team in the competition. We'll see how it stacks up against another absolutely quality opposition away at the Adelaide Oval this Saturday night. But Collingwood, absolutely unbelievable as a footy club, as a footy team. The culture that they've built around this year, with the second year of Craig McRae, the culture that they've built is absolutely unreal. The on-field talent that they're just poking out of nowhere, like Billy Frampton. It was a really strange off-season poach, but they went and got him. He's a best 22 player, and he plays such an important, versatile role for the Pies, back forward or in the ruck, where they've had woes with Darcy Cameron missing. The versatility, the depth, the culture, the game style, it is just such an attractive football club, Collingwood. And I think it's just the blueprint that every football club aspires to be like on and off the field. Next up, Essendon, and for me, it's definitely exceeded expectation for the Bombers. They were predicted for a potential bottom 4 finish or just to miss finals in general. Not even the most optimistic Bombers fans would have been predicting them to make finals after the horror offseason they had off the field with the CEO, the president, everything that was happening there. They got a new coach in Brad Scott, and he has just revitalised this football club as well as a new CEO and president. It's a new look Essendon, it's a new direction Essendon, and it's a massive part in why they're playing so well this year. Just the freshness of having pretty much a new footy team, it would feel like inside the club. It would just feel so refreshing to be inside the walls at Essendon, especially if you've been there for a while and know how bad it was in the past. Is this the year the Bombers can finally win a final? They've got a massive game this Friday night against the Dogs to see if they will make it. And Fremantle, definitely below expectation. They are all but set for a bottom 4 finish in 2023, and it's incredibly disappointing. But you can definitely see why it's happened. It's not a terrible below expectation. You can see why it's happened. The losses of key players like Griffin Logue, who could play forward and back and was a clear best 22 player. Rory Lobb, who, if you bombed it into the 50 when you were playing a poor brand of footy, he would just clunk the mark. And Blake Acres, who was just such an important veteran presence on the wing. He was so smart, and he was hitting some career best form at the Dockers, and then he got traded to the Blues. Massive losses in key areas of the ground, and it's left young players to fill that void, and injury issues as of late hasn't helped the Dockers whatsoever at all. Our midfield's been getting smashed this year. Our forward line, particularly the smalls, haven't been able to function, and the back line is an absolute shadow of what they were last year. Slow ball movement out the back, strange decisions defensively. Look, there are some things that need to be... The best 22 players from last year that are just simply no longer best 22. And that's something where Fremantle have gone backwards in. I'm sure the Dockers will get out of this slump next year, and I'm sure we are still in the right direction. And I back Justin Longmuir personally. I have faith in whenever I listen to him in a press conference. I don't know why. He's just got that aura. Look, I wouldn't associate aura and Justin Longmuir together. They're definitely not the same thing, but I've got faith in him. I'll say that. The Geelong Cats. What a strange team to rank. They won the flag last year. They have hit their form at the right time of year, but they're not going to make top 4, and they were in doubt of a top 8 spot for a lot of this season. I think it's a very unlucky below expectation, because they won the flag last year and they really should be backed in to go and back it up with at least a top 4 spot. But Geelong have just been very inconsistent. They've had to bring in some young players from other clubs and from the lower ranks to play for them this year due to some injury issues. The game plan really hasn't been executed for a majority of the year. It's just whether Geelong really have hit the form, a real patch of form at the right time of year to try and go on another flag run, because people are saying it's far from over from the Cats from here, and I've got to agree with the list that they have. Why can't they go and make another flag push? The Gold Coast Suns, below expectation for me. I think they needed to make a finals push this year, and technically they're still in the hunt, and they've just come off and win against a very lackluster St Kilda side. I really do just think that, Stuart Dew's been sacked now. They've got a new coach in. Hasn't been any continuity with selection. They're chopping players every week. They're bringing new players in every week. There's no continuity of a best 22 at the Gold Coast Suns. The club's been a little bit toxic this year with the coaching situation and the media sort of attacking the club. Suns far below expectations. They've got to get a move on, because they're entering year 13 or something next year, and they'll have no finals appearances. The GWS Giants well exceeded expectation. They were my wooden spoon prediction. And for me, I think they're going to make the top 8 from here. Unbelievable what Adam Kingsley has done with this side. And I really shouldn't have been blinded by the fact that just because Adam Kingsley is a new coach and that the Giants have such a young list that they struggle. They are two things that, you would associate with a struggling club. A new coach and a young list. But Adam Kingsley, unbelievably experienced assistant at Richmond, And you forget about the young players stepping up to the plate far beyond their years. Jake Riccardi, Tom Green, the resurgence of Harry Himmelberg as a centre half back, as well as taking some flying marks as a full forward. Toby Green is still being at his best. Stephen Canelio showing his leadership. Lockie Whitfield's making free runs off half back like he was as a youngster. He's really finding that career best form back. And then the main man for me, the man that is not talked about in the footy world enough, Big Kieran Briggs. Unbelievable player. They found their ruckman. They were chopping around with the guys like Braden Pruce last year that really wasn't getting the job done. But Kieran Briggs this year, oh my word, he is an absolute gun. He's a unit, and not just because of the unit status, but he reminds me of Sean Darcy in the way he gets the ball around the ground. He's an efficient ball user. He's a great presence in the ruck contest. Wins hit-outs for days. Kieran Briggs, sign him on a 5-year max $5 million deal. He's unreal. Hawthorn, his expectation. They weren't expected to do anything more than they've done this year, to be honest. The Hawks, they're going to finish bottom 4. There are inconsistencies with some really good wins in there, some really bad losses in there. It's Sam Mitchell's second year as head coach of the footy club. There is nothing that surprises me about the Hawks this year. They have gone exactly how I expected them to go. Melbourne, I'm going to go a below expectation, and a controversial below expectation for Melbourne. They've just had a fantastic win against Brisbane, don't get me wrong, and Melbourne could still very well win the flag. And bit harsh in hindsight, I am going to chuck them up to hit expectation, but the game style has really varied in terms of the players executing it this year. Their forward connection has been a problem since 2021, and even during 2021, forward connection was a little bit of an issue leading up to that flag run. Last year, it was very, very prominent, and this year, it's been more prominent than ever. Their midfield, for a big portion of this year, just cannot connect into the medium and tall forwards. I think two of the great forward stories, aside from their issues, have been Jacob Van Rooyen and Kate Chandler. I think it's Kate Chandler's third year at the club, and he has cemented himself in the best 22. Absolutely fantastic player, and has had a few injury issues. But Jacob Van Rooyen, no, he's been dropped to the VFL a few times, but he had a full year in the VFL last year, and that's really held him in good stead for providing a really solid marking target for Melbourne. Max Gawn and Brody Grundy, maybe Grundy's out the door after 1 year. He's been dropped to the VFL, and Gordy went bang on the weekend with a massive game against the Brisbane Lions, absolutely dominating that side of the ruck. And the D's looked better without the Gawn and Grundy combo, I must say. Maybe that's the end of Grundy. Maybe Gawndy won't be the combo that everyone thought they'd be. And it makes sense why they might not be. They are two absolute top-tier ruckmen. To send one of them forward at a time is really, really challenging for them to build on their forward craft. North Melbourne, either hit or below. I'm not sure. I'm going to go below, actually, because they haven't improved. They've gotten worse in aspects. And yes, there's reasoning behind it with the Alistair Clarkson mental health break and Brett Ragan taking over halfway through, but the players show no fight. The veterans are constantly caught out of position on the field. There are just some questionable things happening around the football club. I look at veterans like Ben Mackay, who could be an absolutely superb player, multiple-time All-Australian if he put his head to it. But he just really is caught out of position 5-6 times a game where he really shouldn't be, and he just leaks goals for fun. It's the veterans that have really disappointed me with North Melbourne this year. Even Luke McDonald, their backline just holds up terribly. North Melbourne really need to have a good hard look at themselves and what direction they're actually going in as a footy club, and if Clarko can get a full year in next year, see where that takes them. I'm pretty sure their last win was against my team in round 2. That is tragic for both Fremantle and North Melbourne. Port Adelaide exceeded expectation, and I did predict them out of finals, but I was really, really bullish in my season predictions. I must say, I knew Port Adelaide would be a different force this year. The one thing that ruined their year last year was that 0-5 start that just ruined any chance of momentum they'd have for the rest of the year. This year, continuity, momentum, guys like Zach Buggers stepping up into the Brownlow conversation. Connor Rozee, a really underrated asset. I almost feel like because Buggers has been so good this year that Rozee has just been forgotten about. The Buggers dropped off in form in the last 3 weeks for injury issues, and Connor Rozee has taken the mantle as that prime man in the Port Adelaide midfield. Ollie Wines still doesn't get talked about enough. He just does his job as a hard nut in and under player. He's won a Brownlow. He's still a phenomenal player. Just doesn't do the acts that probably gets him recognised on the footy media level. And then the key positions hold up really well. Port Adelaide is so well structured, and Ken Hinkley has got them worked out. It's just really if they can make it to that grand final and potentially win the flag. This could be the year for Port Adelaide. And if not this year, definitely next year, because they are on. It's just going to be so hard to stop Collingwood for the foreseeable future. Next up, Richmond. I'm going to have to chuck them in the below expectation category, unfortunately. Jacob Hopper, Tim Taranto, two unbelievable additions from GWS, and Hopper's had his injury issues and Taranto's been in the Brownlow conversation. No doubt they've been fantastic additions, but it's just been all around that has just been a complete mess for the Tigers this year. They cannot find momentum. They cannot find any form of consistency in their key areas. I feel like one key area player I do want to point out as having an outstanding year, and an exception to what I've just said, is Noah Bolter. He has been absolutely phenomenal and doesn't get talked about enough. If it was my choice, he would be in the All-Australian conversation. I think Noah Bolter is an outstanding player. Against that forward line, it cannot get functioning. The mid to forward connection, you can have all the clearances you like from Tim Taranto, but the connection to the forward line just hasn't been up to par. Richmond have got to get it sorted, and they've got the list to do it. Obviously Damien Hardwick stepped down. Andrew McCall taken over mid-year. It's been a little bit of a rough year for the club, but I'm sure they'll get out of it. St Kilda, I don't even know. I don't know. I'm going to sit on the fence to put them in hit expectation, but what expectation have they hit? I mean, sitting in 5th for most of the year, they're now in either 6th or 7th and playing absolutely dreadful football. The latter position, however, if they make finals in 6th or 7th, an elimination final, that is hitting an expectation, even maybe exceeding it potentially with a new coach. I've got nothing to say about St Kilda. I don't know where they are as a footy club, because the latter position, for some reason, it seems like they're just getting 4 points added onto the ladder without winning games. It's just unbelievable. It was just that incredible start to the year that's still holding them in the top 8. The form they're in at the moment, they might not make it, and the football they're playing is horrendous. They really need to regain some form. The Sydney Swans are far below expectation. Made a grand final last year, and a lot of people predicted the drop-off, but the drop-off to potential bottom 4, probably not anymore now that the Dockers have taken that spot, but, a clear, deep bottom 10 just isn't good enough from the Sydney Swans. They had a great win on Thursday night against the Bulldogs, and they'll look to have another good win against the Dockers on Saturday night, but look, the midfield just gets battered week in, week out. Around the contest, the Swans just cannot seem to win anything, even against the weaker midfields. Even in their wins, they just cannot win the midfield battle. I think even there were some stats that were losing in the midfield, even in that game where they scored 200 against West Coast. There was some strange things about the Swans this year, which they really need to figure out. And I know Callum Mills has missed most of the year, who's a big part of that centre bounce attendance group for the Swans, but you still got guys like Chad Walker and Errol Golden and Luke Parker that have really got to be doing better at getting the ball down to the deck, and maybe even they need to invest in a ruckman, because they omitted Tom Hickey last week and they went in with a non-recognised ruck in Hayden McLean. I think they do need a better ruck, to be honest, the Swans. They do need to go poach a top quality ruckman to complement with what is still a top quality midfield at Sydney. They just need to find something that works. The West Coast Eagles, I'm going to put them in below expectation, because I predicted them to be bad, but they're on a different level of bad, and Fitzroy levels of bad. Last few weeks have been semi-respectable, but on the ladder they sit 18th with 1 win and 16 losses. Their percentage is 48.8, that is 17% less than North Melbourne, who are in 17th. It is almost 100 points less than Collingwood in first. They have been an absolute disgrace this year. They lost by 171 points, conceding 200 to the Sydney Swans. Pretty much every game they lose is by over 10 goals. Round 1 they lost to North by 5 points, and they beat the Giants in round 2, so it was an actual solid start to the year. But then the Dockers, they beat them by 41, the D's by 10 goals, the Cats by 47, and it just got worse and worse. Carlton by 108, Gold Coast by 70, Hawthorn by 116. Adelaide by 122, where Tex Walker kicked 10. The week after that, Sydney put up 31 goals, 19, 205 to beat the Eagles by 171 points. And then they followed it up with a really respectable display against St Kilda, which was probably their best loss of the year. The Eagles are shocking. And the Western Bulldogs, to finish off, I'm going to put them in here. I am going to put them in here. They are in the mid-top 8 region. They're still fighting for the top 8. I think they're still about 7th. And yeah, they finished 8th last year. They're in 7th at the moment. It's just the same old Dogs, really. I mean, Luke Beveridge is just going playing the same way, just chucking players around the ground unnecessarily, like McRae into the forward pocket, Caleb Daniel into the forward line where he doesn't need to be there. Bailey Smith has been a horrible misuse of him this year. Luke Beveridge has had a terrible coaching performance this year, I must say. And the Dogs playing group is showing why he's probably a reason for them not, with the list that they have and not pushing into a top 4 position. Definitely not horrendous year for the Dogs, but could be a lot better. Thank you all for watching this video. If you did enjoy, please hit the like button and subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you all next time. Cheers.